One thing that doesn't change here in Cannes is the obsession with stardom, causing a stir even among the ultra-sophisticates of the French film world.
There was something authentic about the idea that, you know, the only thing that you have, this man has, is what he has on his back and on his horse. And yet he can make a living out of that. There's something kind of romantic about that. He's that resourceful, and that was a different time. It was a dangerous place. But I think falling in love with the cinema is falling in love with moments. And so I think in everything we do, we somehow have to stand for ourselves. We have to stand for the moments that we think are important. We can't be consumed with making our pile of money bigger as much as our heart full.
Can I just say that I thought that your son was a real standout? I didn't know it was your son until after I was reading about it.
Yeah, he doesn't know about any of this stuff. He didn't even know what marks were. I don't bring my children in to bring them into the business, but it was a small enough part, and I thought that he could do it, and I was able to help him. But he followed a level of direction that I was able to give him.
And you named your character, you named him after the character. That's how long you've been working on this.
I started this in 1988.
Yeah.
And tried to make it in 2003. And it just, you know, I thought, well, you know what? I like it. I'm going to even write some more. Yeah, like a crazy person. Yeah. Like, what? It's like, really, Kev? Nobody wanted to make the first one. And you're trying, oh, you're going to make 4 more. Nobody, let me get this right. No one made the first one. You now write 4. Yeah, that's me. It's not wild and different. It just is what it is. It's not like, it's like what I'm talking about wasn't some bizarre idea. It's like a story. It's a journey. And I think those can be very entertaining. People, you know, don't always need to know everything that's happening, or they don't need to see a repeat of the same movie. It should be a journey.
Yesterday I spoke with Coppola, and he said almost the exact same thing about how he had wanted to do something that didn't tick boxes for commercial repeat value. Or...
Yeah, and there's no crime. It's like, you know, he's not Ahab, you know, chasing a whale and taking everybody down with him. He used his own money like I've used my own. We kind of, it's like we don't think we're hurting anyone, and we're trying to entertain. It's really, and I'm not, you know, and it's also not like, you know, something that no one can understand.
I want to congratulate you on the international deal for this film.
I feel like I just have to make what I want to make, and I'm glad that people, they see it as a way for them to do well. And this whole kind of way we're connected, the business, the theatrical distribution, the whole thing sometimes works really beautifully and well, and the risk I take is somehow, you know, rewarded. That's what I hope. But I couldn't let it be my guide. You know, it's not a movie that's dependent on a gunfight. It's like women are really important in how this movie plays out, what they do, how they feel. I mean, these are great performances. They're not just women in a Western. They're like big-time performances, Sienna and Ella and Abby and Jena.
Before I met with Kevin about the role, I was like, how am I?
4 scripts.
I was
like,
how am I gonna read? Because they're long
daunting
too.
task.
And then you just start, and it's like, I was up all night, even though I had to be at set the next day. I was just so in it.
I also think it's part of the skill of Kevin as a filmmaker is that he knows how to balance and draw you into these characters' lives. And that's part of the beauty of having so much time over the course of 4 films, is we really get a more nuanced experience of these people's journey.
I have to say, Jena, I absolutely was obsessed with your character.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's just such a badass and so fearless. And then when she's just defeated and this tear falls.
I know, can you imagine? Trying so hard and getting so far, you know, but that's life, you know. I mean,
okay, but you have to tell me, right, we didn't actually see her dead body.
Yeah. Ask Kevin, honey. Ask Kevin. I can't. I have nothing to say.
And Diamond
Yeah.
is, am I right, Diamond Kittredge related to Francis Kittredge?
There's a lot.
There's
you
a
will
lot
see of
coming.
Diamond. Yeah,
Yeah.
Diamond is probably one of my favorite characters I have ever gotten to play
She's
ever.
delicious. Also, we have an amazing cast on this film.
So
I really do. Like
really
every
incredible.
next story, I'd be like, oh my God, there's.
There they are. Yeah, there's Luke Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely had this feeling where, you know, I was in the first two movies and you'd do your work and, you know, you were out in Utah, you were outside, you were on horseback, you were with Kevin and all these other great actors. And then you'd finish and suddenly I'd be back in, you know, Santa Monica, California, just thinking, okay, you'd feel like, you know, it's like you'd hear about the Rolling Stones on tour in the 70s and how you'd get off tour and like you'd still be kind of hurtling forward inside. But yeah, definitely seeing how hard Kevin worked was very inspiring to me. The best crew I've ever worked with, the best actors. Kevin was such a thoughtful and interesting director for me.
Waze, tell me about the process of meeting Kevin, being cast, what you felt about the script when you first saw it.
I mean, it was just a dream come true working with Kevin. He's obviously been such an inspiration for many actors, and just his writing and this script particularly is just really beautifully done, how he highlights each character differently. But each character has such depth to them, and especially how he's always portrayed Native people. It's just really, I just knew I was going to be in good hands with him. You know, there's been times when I had to turn down jobs because I was like, I don't feel good about this, the way it's portrayed. But Kevin makes sure to make all the Native cast feel really comfortable, and he just gets it. It's like he's just an honorary Native. It means everything to me. My dad was actually in Dances with Wolves. So yeah, and Kevin didn't know that until way later. I finally got a chance to tell him. And so it just felt like a real full circle moment for me, yeah.
Well, I grew up watching Westerns, and weirdly not weirdly, I think my idea of cinema was a Western when I was a little girl, and then Dances with Wolves was a huge, huge part of my life. I had two rabbits called Two Socks and Cisco. I mean,
Did you really?
Yes. So
Wow.
So to be in one finally felt like I was on a proper movie set, an old-fashioned movie set. And to work with him was the dream. No, it's a huge commitment, but I got this call that Kevin wanted to talk to me, and then I got sent 4 scripts, and I thought it must be a series because there are 4 of them, but they're so big, didn't really make sense. And then we had this great conversation, and I'd really go to the ends of the earth for him. I think he's phenomenal, and historically, I think it's a really important thing to look at the origin of this country, not the origin, because obviously indigenous people had lived there forever, but the colonization of the west of America and how important that is to look at today. You know?